Welcome and thank you for joining our last Solve for 2020. Would you believe we have had 19 Solve meetings, recorded ones. We've had some unfiltered ones throughout the year with our SaaSOps professionals. And also this is our 5th and final for 2020 SOLVETank, where we get on a SaaS vendor. We ask them to do a bit of an introduction, a demo, and then we do an exhaustive Q&A, and we grill them and we give our thoughts and our opinions on them as a service that we could see ourselves using in the future. So I'm very proud to welcome John and his colleagues from Hive, hive.com, which is a product and collaboration app. So I'll hand it over to you, John.
Thank you, Colin. Very much appreciated. So super quick background on Hive. So Hive is just coming up to 6 years old, all based in New York, despite my funny accent. And delighted to be here sort of chatting to you guys today. Colin, believe it or not, one of the OG customers of Hive back in 5 years ago. Like to think that he knows how to spot a exciting new technology in the market. You guys would be very familiar with the space productivity, right? It's been around for a good period of time. Think project management tools, think collaboration. What's our sweet spot? We think that folks like Google and Microsoft do a fantastic job of providing us with the framework and the plumbing for our organizations, whether that's email, calendaring and meetings and so forth. But there's a layer on top of that Hive customers need, and that is around getting the work done, right? So that's things like Gantt charts and Kanban charts and dependencies and organizing how a plan is going to happen. We'll get a demo from our team in just a moment, but that's what people come to us for, right? That we are the thing that sits on top of a Google or a Microsoft and allows people within those organizations, and our customers are people like Google and Netflix and Uber and Essence is a good example, and they use us on top of those tools to give them the day-to-day project stuff that they need, but they can't get from the base platform. Does that make sense, Colin?
Yep. Sounds very good. Yeah. Thank you for the background. Any more info to give, or should we go straight over to the demo?
Let's get on to the good stuff.
Cool. I think Chris has the ability to share his screen.
All right. Well, thank you. Very nice to meet you all. My name is Chris Larson, lead the enterprise team here at Hive. And actually, Andy's going to be sharing her screen and driving as we walk through this demo today.
Excellent. We can see that.
Okay, great. So I know we've got about 15 minutes to walk through the demo here. As I'm going through this, definitely want this to be collaborative, so feel free to jump in with questions at any time. So right now what we're taking a look at is the homepage in Hive. This is where all of the different projects and campaigns will live. This is actually a workspace that we built out for one of our other agency clients. So within Hive, on this homepage, you do have the ability to nest different projects. So we're going to go ahead and expand these details. And here what we can see is you have the ability to set different types of permissions for who has access to different types of projects. You have the ability to add different types of custom fields. As you can see here, there's the status, the start date, the due date. And now we're going to go ahead and jump into one of these campaigns. So within Hive, there are 6 different views and layouts, which allow each person to select the view that they like best, while all that information is in one centralized place. So the first view we're going to take a look at here is going to be status view. So here, this is for those folks who like working on that agile type view. I have the ability to drag and drop these different cards. Anyone who is on those cards is going to receive a real-time notification. You have the ability to create different types of custom statuses. So if I were to put this on hold, I can go ahead and create that, and you'll see that that's going to automatically show up there. The next view we're going to go ahead and take a look at today is going to be team view. This can be very helpful for different project managers or different team leads, right? If I just want to be able to create a filter and see my direct reports, I have the ability to do that. You can see up at the top there's different filters. So each person can completely customize this. And then I can drag and drop and reassign that work to different team members, and then they'll receive a real-time notification. Next view we're going to go ahead and take a look at is going to be calendar view. Again, all of the exact same information, just a different way of looking at it. Where here, this is going to show all of these different tasks. And you can see here, again, the exact same information, just a different way of viewing that. We find that a lot of the times folks with creative backgrounds really like this view. The next view we're going to take a look at is going to be label view. So here's just a different way to be able to filter that data for this specific agency that we're working with. They wanted to be able to add custom labels to filter by different departments. So as we can see here, there's account management, client, creative, so different ways that could be filtered. The next view is going to be Gantt chart. So I'm sure everyone on the phone is very familiar with this view as you create a project plan. So within Hive, you have the ability to add in different types of templates, which we went ahead and did for this specific campaign. And you can see on the left-hand side, all of the different tasks for this specific campaign, starting with the kickoff, copywriting, design, going through them. Within Hive, also have the ability to have different types of dependencies. So if I were to move one of these tasks, everything is going to automatically update there so that everyone is on track for that specific project. And then the last view is going to be table view. Think about this for those folks who really like working out of that Excel file type view, have the ability to filter the same way I would an Excel file. You can add different types of custom fields and different labels up at the top, as you can see there. So yeah, I guess, Colin, as you look through those 6 different views, which of those views do you like best?
I think I have the status view. I think that's what we use or have used. And also the team view is very good to working out capacity and sort of allocating jobs to available team members.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the takeaway here is these 6 different views, each person works a little bit differently, right? Someone who is working on an account management team is going to work differently than a copywriter or someone who is a project manager. So this allows each person to have the flexibility to have those 6 different views while all that information is in one centralized place. So next thing we're going to go ahead and take a look at is an action card. So within Hive, think about an action card as a task. And in a card, which we're going to take a look at here. So right now this is for the doggy email timeline. You can see that we're in the design phase. Up at the top right, we can see who this is assigned to. So that is currently assigned to Amy. Within Hive, you do have the ability to assign this to multiple people if I wanted to. So you can see there, select that to multiple people, can also create different types of custom teams. And then within Hive, you also have the ability to create different sub actions, right? So in this specific case, Amy is responsible for the design, but maybe there's some team members that are going to help her complete these different tasks. So within Hive, these are called sub actions or subtasks. So now let's just call this step 1 and step 2, just as an example. And then I can go ahead and put different due dates directly on this card. Then whoever is responsible for completing that is going to receive a real-time notification. And that is then going to show up in their My Actions. So now the different team members have received these notifications. Now they're going to go ahead and work on their different subtasks. And all I'm going to do is hit the green checkbox, step 1, when that has been completed. And now everyone that is working on this card now understands step 1's been completed. They're going to receive the notification. Now they're going to move down to step 2 and then go ahead and mark that as completed just by hitting that green checkbox. Now, as I continue to move down this card, in Hive, we also have the ability to have proofing directly on this card so that it's fully integrated into the workflow. So for this specific agency that we were working with, they wanted to have this be fully integrated into their project plan. So now I'm going to go ahead and click into this asset. I can then mark this up the same way that I would as an Adobe Acrobat. I can mention different people. I'm going to make different comments here. And then my team members are going to receive those real-time notifications. I'm going to hit save. They're going to receive that. And now maybe I want to compare this version to the original version. So I can mark this up and compare this side by side, where now I'm able to see if I'm on the creative team, I can now review all of that feedback, as well as compare that to the original file. And now let's say that, right, the typical workflow would be, I now want to route that around my organization for their review and approval. I have the ability to do that directly in Hive. So now I've gone ahead, provided my feedback. Now I want to now go ahead and send this to the creative director or the account team. All I would do is hit request approval, and then that's going to automatically get routed and is going to show up in their approvals view so that they know that they need to complete and review that asset by a certain timeline. Also on the card, as we continue to scroll down, I do have the ability to mention and add different comments on this card, right? So something that we hear a lot from a lot of our clients is the goal to reduce the amount of overall email volume. So what we have the ability to do in Hive is to share any comments here, again, so that now I'm working on my tasks, my subtasks, any of the assets that the team is working on, and then be able to have all of that notes in one place. As you'll see here, in terms of our native integrations for attachments, we can add different files, whether that be from desktop, from Google Drive, from Box, OneDrive, whatever that may be, have the ability to link that directly here. So let me pause there. Any questions so far?
I think we can keep them all to the end. If you run through the demo, and then our guys can go back and ask any questions.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Okay. So the next view we're going to go ahead and take a look at is, I'm an end user in Hive. Every day when I go into work, where do I go to figure out what tasks I need to get done? In Hive, we make this very clear with something called My Actions. So all of the work that has been assigned out to me, whether that be from a project manager or my team lead, is going to automatically show up here. As you can see, this is filtered by project. I can see what the due date is. So now if for the Harley Davidson email timeline, if I were to click into that creative, I can see that that is due on December 23rd. And then all I would do is mark this as completed by hitting that green checkbox. And now after that has been completed, that is now going to be removed from my actions to my completed actions. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at completed actions, and we can see here that task has now been completed. And then another view in Hive that can be very helpful, especially for different project managers or team leads, is the assigned by me. So sometimes the question is, I'm working with 15 or 20 people on a project. Where can I go to see exactly what I assigned out? What is the due date and when that needs to be completed by? So this is the view assigned by me. These are automatically going to be updated. Now all I'm going to do is click into one of these tasks. I'm going to go ahead and mark that as completed. And now that's going to get moved from my actions to my completed actions. So that is the view from the end user. Next view we're going to go ahead and take a look at in Hive is called Summary View. So right now we were just taking a look at one project, but the question is, where can I go to be able to look across multiple projects in one view, right? So I don't need to go click into 10 individual projects. How can I get a summary across multiple clients or multiple campaigns? So this is called a summary view, where over on the left-hand side, what we can see is this is the list of clients. And then I also have the ability to filter and drill down here, where if I wanted to see the details, I have the ability to do so, where now I'm going to expand those details and I could see all of those different tasks. And then if I wanted to click into one of those tasks, I have the ability to do so, where again, going from the 20,000 foot view across the summary of all the different projects down into the specific task level. So this view also is one that can be shared as a view only link, the same way that I can flip between the 6 different view layouts in one project. I also have the ability to do that in this summary view, where I can change layout. Maybe if I wanted to look across multiple projects, be able to see all the tasks, I can do that in table view. Next view we're going to go ahead and take a look at is portfolio view, which is a different way to be able to look across multiple projects to see the status of different tasks. So at what we can see here on the left-hand side is the list of all the different projects. We can see that we added in several different types of descriptions and custom fields to see what is on track or what is at risk. And now if I were to go to the Harley Davidson email timeline, I can see that that's showing up as overdue on December 14th. So now I'm going to go ahead and click into that task directly from this link. I'm going to go ahead and now mark that as completed. And then when that's marked as completed, what we'll be able to see is that's going to automatically update on that portfolio view. So again, just a different way to be able to view the data, to be able to look across multiple projects in one place. As you can see here, someone with a non-technical background, you have the ability to customize this just by selecting these different drop downs for what projects we'd like to see there. So that is an overview of how to look across many different projects in one view. Next thing we're going to jump to in Hive is going to be communication. So within Hive, there's several ways that teams can communicate. One is going to be Hive Mail, where this would be my personal inbox. So whether I'm using Gmail or Outlook, the typical use case here is I'm working on my tasks in Hive, and then I get an email, whether that be from a colleague, whether that be from a client. Then what would typically happen is I would then need to forward that email around, and now we've got multiple threads going. In Hive, now what I can do is I can take that email, and then with one click, I'm able to convert that automatically to a task. I'm now going to open up that task directly in Hive. For this specific example, we're just going through a client request. So now I can scroll down. I can see that specific email from the client where they said they'd like to see the creative briefing as well as the leadership update. So now what I'm able to do is convert that task directly into these sub actions and then assign those out to my different team members. They're then going to be able to go down and view that specific email and then are able to take action on those different items. So now I've been able to take that email, convert that into a task, and have that be fully integrated into our plan. Now the team's going to work on that. All they would do is hit the green checkbox when that has been completed, and that's going to be marked as completed. So that is one way teams can communicate in Hive. Also within Hive, we have something called Hive Notes. So let's say that we are in a team status meeting and there are some next steps, right? What typically happens, we've all been there before, we're in a team meeting, everyone walks out, some people are taking notes, in emails, on their notepad, and then the question is, what are our next steps? So within Hive, I have the ability to take these notes real time in the meeting and have those automatically convert into actions. So now what I'm going to do is, let's say that the next step was follow up with a report and send executive briefing. Just as an example, now with one click, what I'm able to do is convert those tasks directly and assign those out. So now I'm going and assigning these out while I'm in this team meeting. Those are now getting assigned out to different users as well as with different due dates. And then the view that we looked at before in My Actions, we're going to jump to in a minute, those are automatically going to show up in their My Actions. Now we're in the status meeting. I want this to be shared with the team. Up at the top left, I can now assign this out and add this to that specific project. So I can go ahead and do that up at the top left. But now maybe I want to be able to share this out. So there's a few ways I can do this. I can share this out with people who are Hive users by creating custom groups. So I'm going to go ahead and share this note out. I can see here who I've shared this with. And so I can share this with teams. I can share this with different individuals. But then I can also share this out with someone, whether they are a Hive user or not, by actually emailing this view out. So directly here, I can now email these notes. Two typical use cases here. One would be, right, for different team members who maybe weren't able to join the meeting. Maybe someone was out on vacation, or sometimes, for folks that are in client-facing roles, they want to be able to share different updates with their clients, right, where the clients aren't going to be able to see all of the tasks. They would just be able to see these notes, say, hey, we heard your feedback, our team is working on these different items, and here are our next steps. So that is an overview of what we had planned to cover in Hive today. I know that was a lot. We walked through how to build out a project, as well as different types of templates. We then took a look at overall summary views, as well as taking a look at the overall reviewing an action card, different subtasks, the creative review process, and then overall communication in Hive. There's obviously a lot of different capabilities in Hive, but that is what we had planned to cover today. So with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Before we get into like Bandcamp questions, will you cover pricing and licensing, please?
Sure. Yeah. So our licensing, it is a standard subscription license, which is there's different types of volume-based discounts where that is sold per license on an annual contract.
Thanks, Chris. Are there any admin functions to show and share and demo? Because obviously this is the very much the end user front end, and I know a lot of my colleagues here are the sort of system administrators that would be interested to see how they could globally manage this.
Yeah, of course. So within Hive, you do have the ability to set different types of users, right? So there's a standard user as well as an admin user. And so if we were to go ahead and just click into that. So within Hive, I can now go to manage users. So right here, you can see that we have the ability to set different types of users as well as teams. And right now what I'm going, right, as the admin, I would now have access where I can determine whether or not one of these users would be the admin just by updating that role type over on the right-hand side.
Yeah, probably worth pointing out that things like, we're pretty mature as an organization. So things like SSO are there, provisioning is there, all that sort of type stuff, just from a security perspective and a minimizing administrative overhead is there. And Chris, the other thing that I think, just in terms of like control from a central perspective, if you just head to workspace settings, that'll give you a feel for all the bells and whistles of things that the people in the center can control. And just as a specific example, like lock user custom tags, perfect example of one that we learned early that though you might think that people are good at being sensible with their use of things like labels and custom tags and stuff, it turns out they're not. And you quickly end up with, you know what I mean? You end up with UK, United Kingdom, because someone misspelt it, Belighted Kingdom. And it's things like that we've learned in the real world means that you do have to gently lock things down to make sure that people are, kind of put the guardrails in place so that they know what they're doing.
Okay, great. We'll give my colleagues a few seconds to think. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that they have. We've got about 20 minutes for Q&A. Who has the first question?
I have a quick one.
Yeah,
For your Gmail integration, does it use IMAP to pull in the data, or do you use Gmail API?
Colin McCarthy, did you plant this question?
No, I didn't. But I know the person who forced you not to use IMAP.
I was going to say, Dominic messaged me the same question.
So we used to use IMAP until a very difficult customer by the name of Mr. C. McCarthy pointed us to the information that had been a bad exploit on IMAP. So he forced us to eat our words, go back and rebuild the thing with direct API through Google.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a massive pain point.
I have a question, and I'm sure it's a question you get a lot. What differentiates you from the other project management tools in the space, like like Asana and maybe Monday, things like that?
Yeah, 100%. So there's a couple. So obviously we're from the same family of tools, right? Of course, it's about it's like choosing the car that fits your family best. They all have 4 wheels and doors and all that good stuff. I think so. On the one hand, you've got the ones that are really, really light. Like a Monday, for example, is pretty light. Like a Basecamp, that sort of family. Or Trello is another good example. And those things are great if I've got 8 jobs, 12 jobs, 15 jobs, and I'm just trying to keep track of 15 jobs. Then you've got the super heavy end ones. That might be like a Maven Link or a Clarizen or a Workfront, those kind of guys. And they're great if I've got, 25,000 people and 1,600 projects, and I'm trying to do budget management across a big portfolio. We consider ourselves to be in the sort of healthy middle zone. And just like you said, I absolutely would see Asana as being in the same family as us. We tend to find, if I'm honest, from the very moment that we were founded, we've had the philosophy that we're very like use case driven. What that sounds very waffly, but what that really means is we believe that you shouldn't have to change the way you work to be able to use a new tool. So we've noticed, I'll give you a very specific example. Up until very, very recently, if I wanted to do an approval in Asana, I needed to create a subtask, call it, you must approve this, and then assign it to the person who had to do the approval. Now, in theory, yes, that is meeting the need. But for me personally, I don't want to do that, right? I need to get something approved. I want to press a big old button that says, please, can you approve this, Bob? So I guess where we believe that we're a step ahead, and the reason why we're chosen by kind of like the best of the best, the Googles, the Netflix, the Ubers, is because we've gone that extra mile on all the little details, such that when you're trying to complete a real life journey, it's easier, right? It's easier, it's faster, it matches the way you really work. In terms of completely differentiated things that only Hive has and nobody else has, the email inbox is kind of crazy good, right? Because take an example of like, we want a gentle ticketing system for, inbound operation requests from business units for changes to our, G Suite setup, or changes, Salesforce would be a good example. We're sort of administering Salesforce and we get requests from marketing or from sales or whatever else. Do I want to set up Zendesk for that? Maybe that might be the right option if the volume's high enough, but it's a lot easier. Have an email alias for like Salesforce requests at blup.com, have them come in automatically through mail and automatically into the project of things we need to do that's super, super easy to track, and I can pass around my internal team. And the second thing is Notes has seen sort of astronomical usage. It's new for us because it has that free form nature, right? I can make a meeting agenda. My sort of next steps, sometimes it's good to have them in a super simple kind of table format, but sometimes you need commentary around them, right? We talked about, we're expanding desktop footprint in EMEA. Here's the 3 things we need to do. And then we're also going to do blah, blah, blah. Here's the 3 things we need to do. If you think about a world without Hive Notes, how do you match up the conversation with the next steps and the things you had to do, right? You're in this kind of weird world where it's like, okay, I'm going to send out like an email. And then what am I going to do? Like attach links to Asana tasks? That's kind of weird, right? So we think that Notes is super special and no one has that. We think that mail is super special and no one has that. And then broadly speaking, we're just kind of obsessive about making sure that the thing you're trying to do is as easy as humanly possible, rather than us enforcing a view of the world on you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Jumping off of that a little bit, can you talk a little bit about like what customer onboarding looks like? I appreciate the perspective that you're very use case focused, because I know there's a lot of companies with a lot of different use cases out there. But that strikes me as something that might take a long time to onboard, right? If you have to customize all these different projects and fields and things like that.
Yeah, thank you, Rose. So here's the truth. I'm going to share the painful secret truth. For the last about 20 years, salespeople have been telling people that a work management tool is so easy to use that you simply make it available on the desktop. And as if by magic, over the coming weeks, people will adapt to it and processes will get faster and faster until we can all sit on a desert island because the work is running itself. And unfortunately, this was snake oil when it was first said. It was snake oil last week and it's snake oil now. We believe actually that if the tool is standing in your way, you got a real problem, because the tool certainly shouldn't stand in your way. The hard bit is getting people to adopt it, getting the good processes in place, getting the setup right, all that stuff. So if I'm honest, we're probably on we put more effort into the early days because we don't really believe that these things magically, organically happen. So for us, that's we've invested a eye-watering amount of money into our customer success team. And that is, dedicated professionals where all they do, this is not about button clicking, right? It's not like, how do I get to resourcing? This is, how do I encourage a group of 100 people to use a new tool? What sort of tips and tricks do you have? What template emails do you have? What incentives can we do? Are we going to do a fun little game or a giveaway of gifts for like the most active user in the first 3 weeks? All that human stuff that means that you actually get folks into a new way of working. I would argue the tool is 30% of that, and a smart plan and a good guide is like 70%. Does that make sense, Rose? Cool.
So I have a question about offboarding, as Rose had a question about onboarding. Is there an automated process of being able to reallocate a project or tasks if somebody leaves? Or as admins, what access can we have if, Bob has a project and he's the owner, but he's on vacation, and somebody says, oh, I need to have a team member added to that project, we can't do it. What sort of admin abilities do we have?
100% right, and that is something that we need to improve. So from a security and safety perspective, we are 100% covered, right? Assuming that you've done SSO, obviously there has to be some mechanism for knowing that person has left, but let's imagine you're using G Suite SSO. That person is immediately locked out when they lose their SSO access. So the information is safe and secure. However, right now, it's going to stay in the state that it was prior. And one thing that we've been asked for recently, which speaks exactly to your point, is I wish that I could take a given identity of somebody that's left, understand what things are still assigned to them or in their name or owned by them, and then be given sensible options for where we transfer it to. I think that's super sensible. I agree with it. If I had to guess, it'll probably come sometime before May, I think.
Okay, all right, great.
I've got a question going back to licensing a little bit. If a user is a user, is there one type of user? Are there multiple types of users for price points? Like I can see a lot of these tools being maybe heavily project manager, but an individual person may just need a few of the aspects and don't need everything.
Yeah, we keep it super, super simple. The company I used to work at prior to Hive had one of those like incredibly complicated models that you needed a PhD to figure out. So we went super, super simple. So it starts at just like $12 a user. Everybody's in the same situation. The exceptions to that are external users, which are bucketed. So like, it's like a sensible quota, right? It's like if you buy 100, you get like 500 people externally, which is great if you are, for example, a smaller agency or you deal with outside people. But in general, we keep it super simple that if you're in Hive, it's $12 unless you buy some of the add-ons. Chris, I guess, or Andy, if you just open like the apps page, I'll just give a feel for the gang of like, so we've got a pretty burgeoning kind of like apps world. And here's an example of the sorts of things that you can sort of sit on top of your Hive. Things like timesheets, right? That's appropriate for some people. Time tracking is a good one. Some of the cool automation stuff, proofing, all that stuff. And some of those are modest pricing add-ons. So it might be like $3 a seat more or something. Does that answer your question, Chris?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from people? Any from Dominic?
Oh, how do I get my data out of you if I think my Sana fits better into my existing workflow or my workflow after I tried you for, I don't know, a year or two?
Absolutely. So everything comes out. We don't believe in like vendor lock-in. That stuff is toxic. Obviously, it depends by asset type, what's appropriate there. So for example, when it comes to tasks and actions, you can take them all straight out in one go. And then we have full API for everything. So if you wanted to do something even cleverer where, you literally are programmatically moving stuff across, yes, no problem at all. Does that answer?
Cool. I love API, full API access.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think, Rose wrote an article at the beginning of the year about how to pick a SaaS vendor. And I think some of the items that were on that list, which was, being SSO friendly, which I believe you are. There's no premium model to get SSO. There's the ability to export. There's an API. It is ticking the majority of the boxes on the wish list.
I'd love to read that. Colin, could you share Rose's article with us?
Yeah, Rose. Yeah, I'll share your contact details with Rose.
Amazing, thank you.
I send it off. So yeah, we've in all of our discussions over the year, we've sort of bashed that out quite a bit in our discussions about what we want and what we don't like. We certainly don't like being told to pay more to have something like SSO, which some of the vendors do. Do you do domain capture, which is to stop any rogue independent accounts without SSO being set up on the platform?
Yes. So the SSO is actually pretty strong, and obviously in your case, Colin, it's a Google world, but we see quite a few folk also with OneLogin or Okta, and then of course all the Azure stuff for the Microsoft folk.
All right, cool, great. Any last questions from?
I guess I did have a question, and maybe I just missed it. I had to look away a couple of times. But do you have like integration with like Google Docs and stuff? Like more than just like posting a link to a doc? Like, is there a way?
Yeah. So I mean, to make sure I answer your question accurately. So yes, of course, we have the sort of attached from Google Drive and all that good stuff. Give me a feel for the sort of thing that you'd love to see, and I'll answer if we have it or not.
Well, yeah. So sometimes like when I track some of my tasks, like I will, link a document to the task.
Yeah.
And more than just like posting a link, like, it like will show a preview of the document, or like it'll show the title of the document instead of like.
So that stuff works. If we took a Google Doc item and put it here, yes, you'd get the, like the little unfurly thing that has the it's got the mini, like you can click through the pages or whatever on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Excellent. All right, if that's the last of the questions, we'll do our traditional round robin thoughts on the platform. Obviously, as a previous existing customer, my team do use this extensively. It is great for our internal automation, and there are bits of it that can be automated with the API. So I certainly know that there is value in an add-on collaboration platform like this to add on to Gmail or G Suite, Google Workspace, whatever other collaboration system you've got, even if it's Office 365. But curious to hear what my colleagues are thinking, and I'll call people out going by where they're placed on my screen. So I'm going to turn to Mike Stone and ask for your input.
Cool. Yeah. So let's see. I'll give two different perspectives. First, as in the position I am in right now, working at the company I work for, we use a different project management tool that I think offers a lot of the same type of stuff. So, candidly, I don't see us switching off of it onto something like Hive for any particular reason. I think it covers a lot of the same stuff. However, if stood up a company tomorrow and they didn't have a project management tool, it seems like Hive does a lot of the things that tool does very well, if not better. So I could see us, using Hive, net new. So thumbs up from me, but I wouldn't see us switching off for any particular reason, just to be honest. So that's what I got.
Thank you, Michael.
Cool. Randy?
I'm in a bit of the same boat. I will say that John hit it on the nose when he shared the kind of sentiment that the company tries to make it as simple and natural as possible. And as the demo was going on, I'm going, oh, this is so much easier than what we use. And this just seems like the right flow, and all of that is great. So yeah, super excited about that part. And I would absolutely, a net new, I'm in, this is like where I want to start. And this is just the best possible. We're kind of trapped with what we got right now. I've gone to battle to reduce down the 30,000 different variations that we had to the one. And that was the best option I was going to get everybody onto. That ain't changing anytime soon, unfortunately, but I do love it, and it's super, super intriguing. So yeah, a net new, I'm all there.
Cool, excellent. Brian?
Yeah, no, I especially like the Gantt chart aspect of the product. I come from a project management background in construction, so there was a struggle to use Microsoft Teams and trying to collaborate on it. So that's good, but to have a project management tool, but if we had Hive as an option when we evaluated the tools, then Hive is definitely something I would have given consideration, because I eventually ended up developing a Google Sheet with conditional formatting to make a Gantt chart look alike.
Yes, there is. It'd be interesting to see what percentage of the world's project management is actually done in Google, a formatted Google Sheet. I've seen some very, very impressive ones with colleagues that I've worked with. Down to Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the fence. I think this is one that it's hard to wrap into a short demo to really get a full understanding of what it would do for us. So I think I'd have to actually play with it more and see, is this something where that it is kind of an expensive side of it? If you look at it, some of the other tools aren't quite there. Especially, I know that it's easy to have a simple licensing standpoint, but not everybody needs everything all the time. And some of the tools are like, hey, if I'm only viewing, I don't actually pay anything at all. And that often works with your external people as well. So, we'd have to just kind of dive in a little farther and say, is this going to fit what I need the way that I work? And and those are conversations you have, I guess, which I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you talk to your customers and say, how do we make this work the way you do, as opposed to fit change your workflow to fit us. So I think it's just something that I would have to learn more about before I said yes.
Thanks, Chris. Makes perfect sense.
Cool. Rose, and then we'll go Rose, Dominic, and then Dan.
Well, full disclosure, Chris and I work for the same organization. And we actually do need a org-wide project management tool. And so that's why this is kind of on my radar. In terms of functionality and everything, I think you guys mentioned that you're a mature organization, and so all the main pieces are there, right? All the stuff we normally ask about, and even some of the stuff that we forget to ask about, right? Like that email thing is something that I routinely forget to ask vendors about, and then when we're trying to integrate, they're asking me to turn IMAP on, and I'm like, that's not an option. And so I definitely appreciate that. And I appreciate the story, right, about how that came to be, because it shows that you listen to your customers. I think the pricing is a little high for me. And you mentioned that you definitely negotiate pricing, and we're a nonprofit. So we usually have a lot more leverage in that respect anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm actually going to throw it in the pile of things that we're going to look at as we approach that in 2021. So.
Excellent. Thanks, Rose. Dominic, your thoughts over there in Europe?
I'm not well, to be honest, I do like the idea of project management tools. I'm a bad user of those. So if you throw something at me, it may or it can be done now or never. So for me, chat and email is probably the best way to reach me or to try to make me do something. But I love being able to assign stuff to other people. So that's where there are so many other options for me. And if we're currently on Asana because it's just everywhere, I kind of have it next to my email. I open my email and I see the task next to it. I can open it on a phone. I can have the Slack integrations, and that's it lives where I am, and I don't have to live in it. It fits better for me, I guess. But I'm glad to see that you have SSO easily accessible and that you have APIs, and hopefully you also have a good API security and access management system. We didn't talk about that yet, but yeah, and it's great that you don't use IMAP for email, because otherwise it just wouldn't work with us. It would be that module that we wouldn't use, because IMAP is just nothing we have turned on. So I'm both ways. It's just me being not good at task management, I guess. I have 1,000 unread emails and unarchived emails in my inbox. So that's me.
To make them all a task, and you'll have the joy of clicking the little green button and watching them all disappear. So yeah, it is amazing how much time is used in project management. That's the small M in the management for the big M of project management. Last final thoughts from Dan.
Yeah, awesome. I really like the flow of it. So full disclosure, I'm not super familiar with the tools. I don't live a whole lot in them, but I really like the flow of it. I like that it kind of was all in one space. One thing that I really liked was your ability to kind of change views of things. I think that's really, really beneficial, because like you said, different people like to look at it differently. So yeah, if this was something that I was looking for, kind of say the same thing. If I was standing up a company net new and I needed something like this, definitely. I really like it. I like that kind of the opposite of Dominic. I like it's all in one place, and it can kind of live there, and you can just kind of keep everything there. So, it's just one place you can go to do that. So a big thumbs up for me.
If I don't open it, then it's not there. So that's my...
Great. Well, thank you to John, Chris, and Andrea for doing the demo, and everybody for taking part and giving your thoughts. Project management, I find, is the most personal aspect of IT, and people accept Gmail, they accept Office 365, but if you try and push Project or Asana or Trello on them, they'll choose something else, because it's a project management, for some reason, it's just incredibly personal, and that's why some of the different views do make it, Hive a differentiator. So and if
managing your work is incredibly personal, right?
Yes,
your own
everybody does it a different way, and it can be incredibly rewarding completing tasks and assigning tasks. There is I would always think, you always think of what has to be done at the worst time, when you're shopping, or you're about to jump on a train, and having that ability to quickly create the task and assign it to somebody, and that it's going to be tracked and done. It's a good feature to have. So thank you, everybody, for joining us in the last episode, episode 5 for 2020. Obviously, we're off for the festive Christmas break, and back on January the 15th, where we will do our New Year's SaaS solutions. So it will be SaaS-based resolutions that we'll all talk about and discuss. So thank you very much. I will press stop now.